Good afternoon. My name is Dan Scripps, Chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission. I call this meeting of the Commission to order on April 10, 2025 at 1:05 p.m. Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps.
Present.
Commissioner Peritick.
Present.
Commissioner Hand. Present. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting is being held in person at the Commission's office at 7109 West Saginaw Highway in Lansing. We are also hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Teams. Telephone relay service is also available through the phone option. If you are participating via Microsoft Teams, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking the button at the top right of your Teams window, then clicking on language and speech from the drop-down menu, and finally clicking on turn on live captions. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess. The meeting will, however, be to reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comments via lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. Reference, this email is also included in today's meeting notice. We'll have an opportunity for the public to make comments as provided in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and 1 per person. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so in person or remotely through Microsoft Teams or by calling into the meeting phone. For individuals attending in person and who want to make a verbal comment, please fill out a comment card. They will sit there at the front table near the podium. For individuals participating remotely by Microsoft Teams and who want to make a verbal comment, you may click on the raise hand button at any time to be queued up for comment. Individuals participating remotely by phone who want to make a verbal comment may press *5 at any time to be queued up for comment. Note that public commenters on both Microsoft Teams and on the phone option are added to the same speaker queue. Enter the speaker queue, so please do not lower your hand or press *5 again, or you'll be removed. Finally, to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by Microsoft Teams or by phone will be muted until we reach time for public. First order of business is approval of the agenda for today's.
I move for the approval of the agenda for today's commission meeting.
Is there any discussion? Now have a vote on the motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 21st, 2025 commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the March 21st, 2025 commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the March 21st, 2025 commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The commission meeting minutes of March 21, 2025 are approved. Next item of business on the consent agenda is the approval of the order, or on the agenda is the approval of the order on the consent agenda. Today, the commission is assisted by Staff Attorney Charlie Kavanaugh. I recognize him.
Good afternoon. Today's consent agenda consists of one communications matter, case number U-17573. Proposed order for this matter has been thoroughly vetted by the commission's technical and legal staff. Ready for your.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I move for the approval of the order on the consent agenda.
I second.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order on the consent agenda is approved.
Item 4A1 is case number U-20959. Involves on the commission's own motion, the opening of a comment period to receive comments on proposed revisions to the data disclosure report template and other recommendations proposed by the commission staff related to the data disclosure report and the green button progress. The order before you approves the commission staff's recommendation, sets a deadline of May 30, 2025 for the submission of first quarter green button progress reports and annual data disclosure.
Mr. Kavanaugh, I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20959.
Is there any discussion? Now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the order in case -20959 is approved. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A2 is case number U-21049, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company, reconciliation of power supply cost recovery expenses and revenues for calendar year 2022. The order before you approves the application as modified by the order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21049.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21049 is approved. Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A3 is case number U-21534, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company for authority to increase its rates for the scale and distribution of electric energy. The order before you addresses the petitions for rehearing filed by the Michigan Energy Innovation Business Council, Institute for Energy Innovation, and Advanced Energy United jointly, the Michigan Municipal Association for Utility Issues, and DTE Electric.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21534.
Second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21534. Nice, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Item 4A4 is case number U-21653, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company requesting ex parte approval of its revised expedited pilot process work. Staff member Josh Towsley will describe this order.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Josh Towsley, and I work in the Interconnection and Distributed Energy Resources section of the Energy Operations Division. This order represents a culmination of efforts begun in October of 2020 when the Commission launched the New Technologies and Business Models Work Group as part of the My Power Grid initiative. The work group was tasked with exploration of the opportunities and challenges associated with the commercialization of new technologies and business models such as electric vehicles, electric storage, and other technologies still under development, both at customer and utility scale. In February 2023, based on recommendations in the report produced by that work group, the Commission adopted a voluntary expedited pilot review process to support rapid transformation of the energy system required to meet Michigan's energy needs. The purpose of the expedited pilot process is to find topics for pilots that have broad support from interested persons and the utility, thus reducing the time needed for Commission review, making them appropriate for expedited treatment. The first step toward implementation of this process is the submission of pilot work plans by each participating utility. The Commission directed that these work plans should attempt to address up to 5 areas of exploration, and utilities should encourage robust engagement of interested persons in the work plan development process. To inform the development of a work plan, DTE began engaging interested persons and parties in early 2024. The company held directed conversations with participant groups, received feedback through an electronic questionnaire, and held 2 public open houses. DTE Electric and DTE Gas requested ex parte approval of the resulting work plan in June of 2024, but objections were filed by the Michigan Energy Innovation Business Council, or MIEIBC, the Institute for Energy Innovation, and Advanced Energy United, collectively referred to as MEIU. Subsequently, the Commission issued an order in this case on August 22, 2024, to clarify that its February 2023 directives regarding the pilot work plans apply only to electric utilities, and to open a comment period for interested persons to provide feedback and suggestions regarding the proposed work plan. 5 parties filed comments: Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association, Michigan Propane Gas Association, Connect DER, the Geothermal Exchange Organization, and jointly MIEIBC and Advanced Energy United. DTE Electric, in consideration of the comments, revised its work plan to incorporate this feedback, resulting in the version before you today. The modified work plan addresses the following focus areas: 1. Grid reliability and resiliency. 2. Distributed energy resource, or DER, integration. 3. Decarbonization. 4. Beneficial electrification. And 5. Equity, access, and affordability. The revised work plan is consistent with direction provided by the Commission and is a product of collaboration between DTE, MPSC staff, and the various commenters and engaged participants. As our energy landscape continues to rapidly evolve, this work plan will serve as a beneficial resource for DTE Electric to facilitate robust participation with utility-offered pilots and foster the potential to create innovative programs and solutions. The order before you today approves DTE Electric's revised expedited pilot process work plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Towsley. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21653.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank all the parties who provided helpful and productive input and comments into the work plan for DTE Electric's expedited pilot program, and thank the company for reviewing all the comments and incorporating relevant changes and feedback into their final revised work plan that's before us today. We began this expedited pilot process in 2023, which is aimed at exploring how our electric utilities in Michigan can incorporate new technologies and business models in quick, efficient ways, allowing for testing and refinement of new models and providing support for the rapid transformation of the energy system required to meet the electricity needs for our state. The work plan is the first step in this process. The expedited pilot work plan is meant to establish a set of topics that Mr. Tousley just listed that the utility will focus on for their pilot submitted for accelerated review and is meant to have broad support from interested parties to reduce the amount of time needed for commission review. Once these work plans are approved, the utility is then free to submit pilot plans in line with the content of their work plan at any time. It no longer needs to be in conjunction with a rate case or submitted ex parte. And we have promised to review and respond to the pilot request within 90 days. Consumers Energy's work plan was approved in December of 2023, and DTE Electrics is before us today. And I'm excited to see what innovative pilots will be submitted to further the advancement of our state's electric grid and encourage all regulated electric utilities to take advantage of this program.
You, Commissioner Peritick. Is there any additional discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21653 is approved. Now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments in the following order. First from individuals attending in person and then from individuals participating remotely, either through Microsoft Teams or the phone who have entered the speaker queue. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns, not to answer specific questions. Providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you're willing to share so that we have that for our records. And again, please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes, so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. I think I have 4 cards here this morning, or afternoon, sorry. So Douglas Bloom, I'll invite you up first, and then Dawn Green. Mr. Bloom.
Submit some written comments or a little bit long or a little more involved. My wife and I reside at 180 North Batavia Road in Coldwater, Michigan. I would like to comment today on case number U-21471. In our area, METC changed the route after the October 23 meetings when they discovered the proposed route was too close to the Branch County Memorial Airport. We had attended the October 2023 meetings, saw they were not close to our house and left satisfied and relieved. We did not know of the change in the route until a land acquisition agent showed up at our door on August 7th, 2024. He had maps on his phone of the route. Our house did not even show up on this map. We discovered later that the maps were Google Maps from July of 2022. Construction of our house started in September of 2022. We also discovered that METC did not recognize our house when they changed the route. We were told by METC staff that their data was corrupted. We started a process with METC to try to move the route on our property. We suggested a change of path that would keep the line on our property, but shifted away from our woods and Lakeview behind our house. They said they could not because they had already filed with the MPSC. Your staff is aware of these changes that were made after the filing and question the reasons for them. We feel METC's unsatisfactory work should not be rewarded with your approval. We will have to live with the outcome of METC's poor work. We ask you to deny this route and make them refile, or in lieu of that, let them make some route modifications for landowners like us who were affected by these changes after the October meetings. Thank you.
Mr. Bloom. Dawn Green, I have you up next, and then Doug Bontico. Get it close. Right.
Hi, my name is Dawn Green, and I live at 201 South Butcher Road, Coldwater, Michigan, Branch County and Bethel Township. And we attended the October 2023 meetings of the Township Hall, which is where we first became aware of this. The maps that we saw at that time provided a route that went through our property and an alternate route that went outside of our property. We are also in the process of putting in a 200-acre solar panel field with Branch Solar LLC. So at that time, we made them aware that this was going on. They sent their plans over to ITC because in addition, ITC is also building their inverter station. So they were already aware within their organization that there was a huge solar field out there, about 1,500, 1,600 acres going into place. So we've bought into, not in my backyard, because we bought on to putting in solar field panels to help become energy independent and provide cheaper electricity for the citizens of Michigan. But what we found is that they are going to now, they moved the line and they're staying with what they were going to, because initially we thought that they were going to move over to the alternate route. We didn't hear from them for 9 months. So in July, at the end of July, we find out that there's an August meeting where we have to file to intervene and all this other stuff. And Branch Solar was not aware that they were going to move forward because they believed they'd also moved to the alternative route. So we had done no preparation or anything, change up what we need to do to accommodate their need to go through. But basically, they're going to upend about 12 acres to 15 acres of panels, and it bisects a 137 acre field. So as a farmer, we're asking that, you know, they make accommodation and work with us to move outside of the middle of our field and also least impactful to the solar panels that are going up. And they came back with a proposed, yes, we could do that. And now they're back through bisecting our field. So the route keeps changing for us. We don't understand. They sent over a contract and agreement to us, and we've started those negotiations and that work in good faith. But honestly, the agreements, I wish that you could see them, I feel are predatory. So it's not even that there's a lack of transparency, but I believe that they're predatory in terms of what they're missing in terms of conservation, erosion, pollution, liabilities, et cetera. So we ask that you do not approve this route as it is now, because they've not done the due diligence and the research to provide a educated route to go through with this line. Thank you so much.
Ms. Green. Doug Bontico, and then Mark Barony or Barone.
Hello,
Supervisor.
my name is Doug Bonico. I'm the Marion Township Supervisor from Osceola County. First want to thank all the staffers who've helped with questions that I've had in the past. At this point in time, we do not have an official answer to any of them. In regards to who bears the cost and burden of complying with the Rule 460.20338 Farm Tap. It is my belief that the commissioners swore an oath to uphold the Constitution as public officials. The Michigan Constitution, Section 10, no bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or laws impairing the obligations of contract shall be enacted. I would like or appreciate an opinion from the legal commission, the commissioner's legal counsel on this matter, so we have somewhere to start with in reference. Some people have mentioned that it is not a law, it's a rule. And in that, I'm gonna reference Marbury versus Madison. All laws, rules, and practices that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. Rogers versus Ray Donovan, all codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only, not human creators. I would also like to reference US Code 241 and 242 and US Code 42, 1983. The farm tap rule requires new equipment to be installed before landowners can receive their contractual payment of gas. If a person has to spend money to fulfill an existing contract, to me, that would be an impairment. On the issue of unitization, the Bureau of Land Management, CFR 43, we're looking at 3108.0, unitized land, those lands and formations within a unit area which are committed to an approved agreement or plan. That's the definition that there's dispute over what definition I was referencing. This is the definition that I was referencing, so we can all be on the same page. In court cases, the courts have questioned in regards to unitization, whether multiple landowners, whether it develops a pool of land and resources to equally prevent waste and equal share of the pool. And the plan has to prevent waste, yeah. And it has to be authorized by controlling government authority to be classified as unitization. So I'm asking for some legal, the commission's legal counsel to review and give some direction. And then if I need to file an official petition, if somebody could help me direct in the proper way to do that. Thank you.
I think Jason Mayu from our guests, he's in the back and will continue to work with you on this. So,
Yeah, I've had lots of people work with me,
I
but
know,
we're still working around the circle.
I
So
hear you.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Mark Baroni.
Hi, I'm Mark Barone from Coldwater, Michigan. I'm a fourth generation farmer by trade. My son is going to be the fifth. We own several parcels in this area, and two of them are going to be affected by this HIPAA line. And as some of the other residents, I was thrown into this at the end because it wasn't going to affect my property until the route change. And the lack of transparency with METC is one of my biggest concerns. We have a local airport is why the route was changed. And they have pole placements, pole elevations and everything else. And it seems to be that no one else can get any of these pole placements or elevations or what's going to happen to our land. The two parcels that's going across today, I irrigate, have center pivots out there. It's taken me 5 years to clean this up and make it a efficient piece of land and to make my irrigation go in a circle. And to this day, I don't have any pole placements. I don't have anything that has been presented to me. They've reached out to me, but the field reps that they have in the field are very uneducated of what's going to happen with the process. There is no officials that want to meet with us that are in the higher ups that have the know-how or the decision making. They are thrown onto these field people that they don't have the resources behind to answer any questions. All they want us to do is sign this easement that is put in front of us. I recently went through an unpleasant experience with METC and then some eminent domain. And again, they were very lack of transparency. They don't want to talk to me. We went right through the court system. And I have fear that that's what this is going to be today with this new HIPAA line is they're going to just do what they want to do behind the laws that are in place. It allows them to do that, even if it's unethical today. So my concern and my approach to the board would be is to please not approve this until we have a definite route, a definite solution to what we can do. Because this is my livelihood. This is what I've done, my family's done for 100 years. And it's they want to cut sideways through people's properties. And if you travel to other states, a lot of other states will follow property lines and they'll follow highways. There's always a different solution to everything except the first proposal that they're wanting to be approved on. So just taking our consideration as to landowners, people of Michigan that pay taxes. This is my livelihood. I don't live in a suburb. I live in the rural community like all the other people that's being affected here. So I wish that you would just take a really hard look and get some definite clarifications on what's really going to happen before you approve it. Because there's a lot of landowners out there that are still in the dark and METC is non-transparent with what they want us to do and communicate. I went to some of the first meetings, I was not affected. And as Mr. Bloom was affected also at the late coming, and then they had time to intervene and everything else. And it's really it's a hard process to get your hands around without someone actually sitting down and, discussing and caring about what the land that they're going to take from me to make it better for everybody else. And that's what this is all about. It's supposed to be better for everybody else, but the landowners are holding the burden. And it's not about financial compensation, in my opinion, or in my case, because it is my livelihood that it's affecting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Baroni. Do we have anybody else here today who would like to make a public comment before we move to the virtual options? Okay, we have a couple hands raised. So in the order in which your hands are raised, I think the last four of the first hand are 7339, and invite you to come off mute and you are trying to talk. If your number ends with 7339, we can't hear you yet. Still having some issues. We'll go to the second person whose number ends in 4899. Come back. if your phone number ends in 4899 and you'd like to make a public comment, we invite you to do so. If you're trying to, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, sir? Hello?
We can, yes, yep.
Okay. Yes, Chair, sorry about that. It's just the phone system is not ideal, and I appreciate that the MPSC allows us to call in. Ideally, would be the person like the other four speakers here. But yes, again, thanks for letting me speak here. I have my notes I'm going to pull up here. Okay, so my name is Sayed. I live in Novi, and just kind of wanted to make a comment here that Michigan's high electricity prices, especially compared to other states like Texas, seem to be a deliberate policy choice, by various, through various functions, including the MPSC. And it seems like the MPSC has consistently favored the incumbent utilities, over the consumers, right? And Michigan actually introduced deregulation before Texas did with Public Act 141 in 2000. But then subsequently, any meaningful competition was crippled by this 10% cap. And that cap was upheld and enforced by the MPSC, and it's kind of created an artificial ceiling on competition and shielding monopolies like DTE and consumers from the kind of market forces that drive down prices, right? The market forces that our society and our country is all about. And the reason why I bring that up, right, is because this affects the competitive landscape and not only lowers rates, but also improves customer service. And providers are held accountable. In my case specifically, I've called before and discussed my issues that I'm having with DTE. DTE does not face that risk. They know that I have nowhere else to go. And the numbers speak for themselves, right? DTE's year-to-date share prices outperform the market, right? While ratepayers are left dealing with poor service, billing errors, and no recourse. And my current issue is one that I've raised before, again, like with MPSC, as I said. And I appreciate you guys at least have this public forum, because following my public comment, DTE's Executive Consumer Affairs Center, the ECAC, did reach out. And while the person that reached out was very courteous and they were well courteous and well intentioned, they were definitely not well informed, and they were not equipped to answer the fundamental questions about my billing issues. For instance, during the first conversation, that person did not even know that the EV rate is a variable time of day rate. And that's, again, there's no way to speak with anyone who can actually come up with a meaningful solution. I'm stuck in a situation here where DTE has acknowledged that there's been billing errors. They have acknowledged that their meter tech, as well as customer service, had my EV meter on the wrong rate plan, and they've attempted to fix it. But in their attempt to fix it, they've double billed me for quite some time. And when I try to bring that up to them, they try to tell me that this person in ECAC says that no, this is in relation with the surcharges. Whereas I have everything broken out in an Excel spreadsheet, clearly showing that that's not the case. And when we press on them harder, they just simply stop responding to emails. Again, this, in my opinion, is because you've effectively allowed a monopoly to happen here. And this is exactly the kind of thing that wouldn't happen in a competitive landscape. So I basically have this question that what does the MPSC do? Because it seems like, just listening to the approvals and things, it seems like this, that the MPSC is a bit tougher, and they are a bit, they do present more scrutiny to the smaller providers, whereas DTE, such as in today's earlier rate case here, I don't have it written down here. Actually, I do. Sorry, 21534. Again, unanimous approval. So again, just increases in rates, which on its own, inflation related, is fine. They need to be held accountable for what they're doing, and they are taking advantage of customers knowing that we don't have anywhere else to go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person, we're going to go back to the last four being 7339 and see if you're able to unmute and join us. You may have to press *6 to unmute. Okay, the next person that we have is 5938 as the last four numbers. 5938. Invite you to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear from you. Again, you may have to press *6 to unmute. Your number ends with 5938. We'd love to hear from you. If you're trying to comment, we're not able to hear at this point. All right, we'll try and come back to you. The last person I have is the name Welch or G. Welch. You can unmute yourself. I think you're participating by Teams. We'd love to hear from you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. My name is Jan Welch. My sister and I are fourth generation farmers, and our farm is on North Batavia Road in Coldwater, Michigan. Like the other speakers, we attended the open house that ITC had at our township hall in October of 2022. At that time, they didn't realize that their line was actually too close to the airport. And my point being that they have not done due diligence at all with making the routes for this line, proposed line. I wasn't made aware of the route change until I mailed the day after they sent someone to my door. We have 2 parcels that this affects. And like Mr. Bloom, they did not have our cabin on the route. It did not show on their maps. And of more concern to us is that we have a bald eagle nest right there next to our cabin where this proposed line will be going through. We've talked to the DNR. They are not in favor of this line being there whatsoever. However, they're unable to do anything against ITC. And with now it being our state bird, we apparently still have no recourse. And my argument is just like the previous speakers. There has been no transparency. When I called the number on the cards that they gave us from the open house, the line has been disconnected. When I finally did reach someone in a different division, they confirmed that. They said, oh no, we disconnected that phone line right after that open house. And that has been the level of attention that ITC has had to my fellow landowners in Branch County up until this point. I would strongly urge you to take a second look at this and not approve this line until they're able to come to the table and meet with we landowners and show us pole placements, alternative routes. We could suggest alternative routes. And just to have some contact with someone there who knows something. And I really appreciate you having this hearing today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. We're going to try one more time for the 2 folks that we haven't heard from. I think the last 4 were 7339, and for the other person, 5938. If you're able to join, we'd love to hear from you. Okay, well, with that, we'll conclude the public comment period of the meeting. Please note that the public may continue to submit comments to the commissioners anytime via email at lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. Again, lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. And that email is also in the meeting notice for today's meeting. With that, we'll see if there are any additional comments or announcements. Commissioner Carrion?
Sure. I might be kicking off or I realize I might be kicking off a theme of comments here. Thanks, Chair. For multiple days, beginning the weekend of March 28th of this year, our state endured a truly devastating series of weather events of historic severity, an experience that in its darkest hour tragically claimed lives and subsequently caused widespread damage and hardship. I want to first extend my deepest sympathies to the families who lost loved ones. Such a loss is unimaginable, and my heart is with you. At peak outage, more than 500,000 customers lost power, and we know that thousands remain without service today. In this time of restoration, I'd like to point to and emphasize the critical and dire role of mutual aid and assistance between numerous parties in extreme weather emergencies. From the investor-owned utilities we regulate to municipal utilities and member-owned cooperatives, and even to our transmission operator, the ability for utilities to coordinate and share resources, support, and expertise is essential to ensure restoration happens expeditiously. Coordination doesn't stop here, though, with emergency response. Departments across state government and organizations, agencies, and companies statewide, as well as nationally, must work together to restore and rebuild. All three commissioners here take our mission to serve the public very seriously, and the MPSC is deeply committed to collaboration to improve reliability and resilience with the engagement of all the energy providers and operators I mentioned, as well as other affected groups. Extreme weather events are only becoming more common, so for this reason and many more, resilience initiatives are clearly paramount. And finally, I cannot allude to any restoration work without expressing sincere thanks and gratitude to our line workers, local government leaders, helpful neighbors, and community members, and of course, our own wonderful MPSC staff who tirelessly monitored and assisted in carrying out our state emergency response with great care and concern. This includes Alex Morese, manager of our energy security section, and Jessica Duell, a departmental analyst in our electric operations section who has officially earned the title Absolute All-Star and who worked around the clock while on call, as well as our own Chair Scripps, whose dedication and concern for his fellow Michiganders is evident in the way he devotedly leads with our mission as his compass. Thank you all so much for your impactful, commendable efforts in service of your fellow Michiganders.
Thank you, Commissioner Carrion. Commissioner Perrottet.
Yeah, thank you. As Commissioner Carrion noted, that over the past few weeks, Michigan has been hit so hard by a series of these intense storms that caused widespread damage, deaths, injuries, and left many of our friends, families, and neighbors without power, some for an extended period of time, even over 20,000 still today without power. I want to begin by saying that we at the Commission take this type of event extremely seriously. We know how disruptive and dangerous it can be to lose access to power, especially for our most vulnerable populations, those with medical needs, the elderly, families with young children. We see you and we hear you. The Commission exists to serve the public, and that means ensuring that our utilities are providing reliable service and efficient storm response. And I want to acknowledge the tremendous work that's gone into restoring power across the state. The work that utility crews, especially the line workers and field responders, have done is essential. Their dedication deserves our gratitude. We're also grateful to all the local governments for their work and our Commission staff who, as Alessandra mentioned, have been working tirelessly to monitor outages and coordinate with utilities on their storm response. While the utilities are working hard to do what needs to be done in the short term to restore power, the Commission is also keeping our eyes on what needs to be done in the long run to improve reliability. For example, our utilities are required to file distribution plans every 3 years. These dockets take a proactive approach to reliability planning and are integral to ensuring that our future grid has fewer outages during storms like these. We've also recently implemented a financial incentives and disincentives program for our two largest utilities that incentivizes regulated utilities for their fast storm response and penalizes them up to $10 million for an insufficient response. We also recently completed a distribution system audit that investigated the preparedness of the distribution system, the inner workings of the utilities' storm response teams and plans, and provided recommendations for how both utilities can improve, with further action on that coming in the near term. We have been working to ensure that our utilities are prepared as our storm seasons change and become more intense. If you are affected and you need assistance, please do visit our webpage, Preparing for and Responding to Power Outages, where you can find information on reporting outages, on safety, and on whether you qualify for outage credits. Those credits are generally applicable based on the length of time that your power has been out and the percentage of other customers in your utility's service territory that are also experiencing outages. During situations like this, it's also helpful to follow us, the Public Service Commission, on social media, where we share helpful information on outages and recovery efforts. And as always, please utilize our fantastic customer assistance division for any questions that you might have, where you can contact our team by phone, by mail, or online, email, or online.
Thank you, Commissioner Peretick. And I also want to just take a moment to acknowledge the devastation of that ice storm and the other severe weather that we saw, including the storm that hit Northeast Lower Michigan, as well as 12 confirmed tornadoes that impacted communities across the rest of the Lower Peninsula. I've had the chance to visit the area a number of times over the last couple of weeks, and I've just been astounded by the extent of the damage. Whole stands of trees where literally every single tree had been snapped. Miles of roads with fallen trees lining the sides, and stretches of dozens and dozens of power poles in a row that were broken or had fallen over. It's difficult to overstate the damage, but the impact included the loss of power for nearly 100% of customers in many of those counties. But even more impressive than the damage, in my mind, was the spirit of the communities affected and the dedication of line workers, control room operators, National Guardsmen and women, and the many others involved in the restoration efforts. I got to see firsthand some of the lessons learned and process changes stemming from the 2023 ice storms being deployed across the region, and the restoration efforts I saw were nothing short of heroic. I'd also note that for a number of districts and students in the area, today is the first day back at school. Now, some of these students, teachers, and other school employees still don't have power at home, but the return to school, I think, is an important step towards getting back to normal. And finally, as my colleagues did, I want to recognize our team here at the Commission for their work in working with the utilities to understand what's happening on the ground, convening daily calls and often more frequent to discuss the restoration efforts, working with the State Emergency Operations Center to ensure a coordinated response from the state, and their many additional efforts. Many people may not realize that we actually have staff on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond to outages and other emergencies, and they do their very best work during the worst days on the system. As Commissioner Carrion did, I particularly want to thank Jessica Duell, who was on call for both outage weekends, and where this was her first time staffing the SEOC, and Alex Marisi, who again leads our energy security team and is universally respected both in state and beyond for his focus during emergency events, both of them for their outstanding leadership over the last couple of weeks. I know events like this are challenging. As has been noted, as of this morning, there are still approximately 20,000 customers without power 12 days later, and I appreciate the patience of those customers still waiting on restoration, as well as the ongoing commitment of line workers and others who are working around the clock to get these customers back online. As my colleagues both mentioned, it is important to digest the lessons learned from this event and take steps to make improvements for the future. But again, the focus right now is finishing the job on restoration. And finally, before we close today, as we do each April, the Commission is again this year celebrating Arab American Heritage Month, which this month immediately follows Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr. As home to one of the largest Arab American communities in the country, Michigan has been particularly blessed by the many contributions of our Arab American friends and neighbors, and we join with them in celebrating Arab American Heritage Month this month. With that, we'll conclude today's meeting. The next regular commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 24, 2025 at 1:00 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn today's meeting.
I second the motion.
We will now have a vote on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.